are here with a extra content video going up on the YouTube channel. We are joined today by Ashley Wilson of Her Sports Convo podcast to go over Free Agency Frenzy Continued Part 2. Ashley, thanks so much for joining me to talk about this.
Thank you for having me. It's been a hot mess.
A hot mess is an understatement. A hot mess is an understatement. Free agency frenzy, like that word, understatement. Because got so much to talk about.
I wish I was Adam Schefter, like being paid to send out these tweets, because I know he should be at this point. He should be getting paid by character as much as he's been working.
Oh my god, I know, he's literally amazing. Between all these people that are keeping up with all this and throwing all of this news at us, it's a lot. It's a lot, and we have a lot to like ingest and process and then like put out too, because like I said, a lot of things went down. So I'm really stoked to talk about this. Basically, where we're at in terms of time frame is I finished recording my podcast on Tuesday at about 5:30. So we're going to talk about everything after that, which starts with Andy Dalton getting traded to the Bears. So, well, not traded, I guess, picked up by. But so that's where we're going to start, and we're going to do everything from there. And right now it is 5 o'clock on Friday, the 19th. So everyone knows where we're at in terms of what's gone down, what may or may not have happened yet. I know we're thinking about Kenny Golladay right now. I know I am, because he's talking to the Giants right now, and I'm in like full crazed mode. I'm literally like, I don't know what to do.
If they get it, it'll make it for the last one. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, I'm like, at first I was like a little shaky about it, but now I'm just like, you know what? If you're going full in, just go full in. I'm ready for it. So let's jump into it, shall we? So we're going to start off with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton got a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Bears. And obviously before this, they had let go of Mitch Trubisky. Ashley, tell me, how are you feeling about Andy Dalton being in a Bears uniform?
I'll have to say, if I was a Bears fan, I'd be mad. Like, out of all those people out there, you could like sort of draft pick. You could have sent over a fax machine. I mean, you're not only giving this man millions of dollars to come and not help your team, you let go of someone who could have kind of maybe sort of, you could have brought in a wide receiver, helped the defense coordinator who would have figured it out. Y'all just was like, okay, whatever, here you go, Andy. Like, maybe if Andy, had led the Cowboys to a playoff spot,
right,
they would have a legitimate case here. But Andy just had I can't even say he put the Band-Aid on it, because he didn't even put a Band-Aid on it. He put whatever the off-brand of Band-Aid is, not even the Band-Aid off-brand. He went over there and put toilet paper and scotch tape on it. It was like, I hope this works, because
oh my god,
Andy Dalton, come on now, y'all.
I know, and I have a really good friend of mine who is a Bears fan. And we have this big group chat with me and a couple other guys, and literally he texted us and he was like, I am in so much pain. And I was like, I can't even imagine thinking about Andy Dalton. I mean, yes, he's been in the league for so long. I get he's a veteran and you got to put respect on veterans, but the man has choked in every playoff game ever when he was playing with the Bengals. And I just, nothing happened last year with Dallas. I mean, it was just nothing. So the fact that the Bears were just like, hey, and then the fact that they were like, hey, we're giving you the starting job. There's no competition. And he was like, yep, this is where I'm going.
I mean, wouldn't you, if you're a quarterback, you were the starter in Cincinnati, you feel like they did you dirty, and then you got your moment in Dallas, and then someone's like, I'll pay you $10 million to be our starting quarterback, even though we're trash and you're not that great. Come on over.
It doesn't make any sense, really, to be quite honest with you. I don't see the mesh. And then they also, I think they still have Nick Foles, and I don't know what they're going to do with him, because I know that he has so much money coming to him, because everyone signed him this big deal after, the Jaguars signed him that big deal after he won the Super Bowl, and then the Bears took that contract. So I don't know what's up with Nick Foles. I haven't heard anything about Nick Foles. Like,
Nick
not
Foles
one thing.
is sitting on his couch counting his checks because he is making a whole lot of money and doing a whole lot of nothing. That's what I'm trying to do. Like, this man has done zero work because he played 3 games in the Jaguars, and they were like, okay, we're over him.
Goodbye.
And then he was over there at the Bears, and then they started him those 2 games, and they were like, well, you're not. At least Mitch gave us a chance in the fourth quarter, so we're gonna put Mitch back in. And now he's just over here making hundreds of $1 million and just going to practice.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he did get hurt the first game with the Jaguars, and then he came back like 10 weeks later, and they were like, wow, dude, you stink. Bring Minshew back in. We just sit back down. And we were like, whoa. And the same thing kind of happened here. I mean, they put Mitch in. I don't know if he got super hurt, but I was like, dude, like, be a backup. It's obvious that, like, that is the best place for him. He thrives as a backup, not as a starter.
And you're making starter money. Like, be a backup. Like, I get you're an athlete. Like, everyone wants to be the Tom Brady's and the Joe Montanas. You had your moment. Well, and Carson Wentz kind of take that away from you. But anyway, you had your moment. You got them there. Carson Wentz like let him over the finish line, but you got him there. And enjoy your time. Everyone has their, because no one can make the case that any of those quarterbacks who are coming into the draft are not as good, if not worse, than Nick Foles right now.
Right. Yeah, it's the whole thing is just the fact that the Bears have completely put Nick Foles aside, and Andy Dalton just showed up and they were like, yes, sir, would you like our starting position? We have nobody else to fill it. And he was like, yep. And now he's the starting quarterback for the Bears.
Honestly, that's how I feel like it happened. Like, it was like they had like an open house and they were like, okay, come on.
Basically. They were like, oh, you have red hair? We have orange in our jerseys. It'll look great.
We figured it out.
Match so well. Like, when he was on the Bengals, it was so aesthetically pleasing because he had the orange in his uniform. Then he went over to the Cowboys. I'm like, nah, doesn't really work. And now he's back with the orange accents. And I'm like, way to go, Andy. But yeah. And also the fact that the Bears were trying to get Russell Wilson in the midst of all this as well, offered 3 first-round picks for him, and Seattle said no.
Like, how do you go from Russell Wilson to Andy Dalton? It's like, okay, I didn't get my dream girl, so now I'm just gonna get the next thing that walks into Target. Like,
exactly.
Like, come on now. You could at least walk around the aisles and try to find somebody. You just went over there to the dollar section. You just stopped right there at the dollar section. It was like, okay, whatever.
Oh, look, here's a nice quarterback that we could put in our starting position and give $10 million to. That'll do fine. I don't know what the Bears are thinking. I don't know how they're going to do next year, to be quite honest. I mean, to be fair, Allen Robinson did sign his franchise tag, so he's not going anywhere. So that is a little bit of a freebie for them. But otherwise, I have no idea what's going to go on with the Bears next season.
I mean, honestly, I wish I could see the group chat of when they signed Andy Dalton. Because I know Khalil Mack was in there like, what in the world are they doing up there? Like, I'm over here busting my butt every week over here on defense. And y'all are getting Andy Dalton to all people.
No, it's true. I would have paid such good money to see that because you know that that's what's going on with the Bears right now. And Bears fans. I have not seen one Bears fan yet that is like, yes, Andy Dalton. Like, don't think they exist.
Oh, most definitely.
But yeah, so that's Andy Dalton here. That's what's going on with the Bears. The next person that we're going to talk about is the only person that's not going to a new team, and that's Trent Williams. Trent Williams, I just wanted to talk about him because of the contract that he signed with the 49ers. Talk about dollar bills, y'all. Holy cow. This man is now the highest paid offensive line in the league at 6 years, $138 million. What do you think that man is worth it? Or do you think that like maybe they might have overpaid him a little bit?
He's completely worth it. Now, I do have to say that I am very biased until the like offensive lineman, the defensive lineman, they don't get enough credit. And I think that's
Absolutely.
why a lot of people are like, you gave that much money to an offensive lineman who is standing there making sure Andy Dalton doesn't break his leg.
Right. Right.
Like, come on now. But he's completely worth it. You go look at his numbers. He hasn't let like the quarterback got sacked, all that good stuff. And then especially he's so good at like pass protection, which they need, because I'm pretty sure somebody can go look up those numbers and be like, okay, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so that was their best move by keeping them. That was their target move.
Absolutely. And I think that he is worth it for sure. Because right after he signed that contract, you know, everybody's putting out all the highlights of him and they're like, this is what Trent Williams could do. And I saw him, like, he's this enormous person, but he literally throws people on the ground, like not even like tackles or pushing, and there's not like a back and forth. Like he just literally throws people on the ground. And I'm like, okay, I'd give that man $138 million to protect me. That's for sure. I don't have it, but I would pay him that.
I'd figure it out. If like that was the price, I'd figure it out.
Yeah, no, I'd make sure that I'm like, oh, this man is going to protect me. Nothing bad will ever happen in my life if he was the one to protect me. So I definitely agree with you. I believe 55 of that is guaranteed money. So the man could walk outside and stub his toe and never play football again and still get $55 million, which is good for him. Like, get your bag, Trent. Get your bag.
Exactly. Like I personally don't think any of them should sign contracts that you're not at least coming out with 20 million guaranteed, but I'm no attorney, lawyer, or agent, so don't ask me.
No, yeah, don't trust us in terms of money because we are not qualified professionals, but I wanted to just mention Trent Williams just because now he's got all of this money. He's the highest paid lineman in the league. Just after David Bakhtiari signed that huge deal with the Packers, making him the highest, and now this is the highest one. So these big guys, they're starting to get their money, and I think that they absolutely deserve it because they do a lot of work and nobody really recognizes that. So I'm good for Trent. I'm happy for him. The next person we're going to talk about is Jacoby Brissette. Jacoby Brissette just signed a 1 year, $10 million with the Dolphins, and I believe he's going to be backing up Tua. What are your thoughts on Brissette?
I feel like Jacoby Brissette had such a high, scope of life when he came into the league. Yeah. And then he went over there to Indianapolis. And no one's talked about Indianapolis as a city and or a state since Peyton Manning left. Right. Like you think people are like, Indianapolis, where's that? Oh, it's Indiana. Where's Indiana on the map? It's somewhere over there.
Couldn't tell you.
And like, I feel like that's really where, because honestly, he should, if somebody's going to be going to the Bears, that's probably was where he should have been. But since, he got lost in the shuffle in Indianapolis, he's over there at the Dolphins. And I mean, I feel like he'll be a great backup to Tua. He's had the experience that I feel like Tua needed. And not that Fitzpatrick wasn't, a place for him, but he wanted to be a leader, and you can't teach someone how to be a leader if you want to be the leader. Like I feel like that's kind of where their discourse came. So since Jacoby's kind of like came across and like, okay, I'm second man in charge, I can help Tua in that case. And I feel like that's really what Tua needs right now, especially in the coaching realm that the Dolphins, it's like a revolving door over there. So he needs someone that's going to stick around.
Right, definitely. And the thing is too, like, Fitzpatrick was a great backup for him, and we saw the inconsistencies with Tua, and I think that they'd like to have a nice big safety blanket in case Tua does end up maybe getting hurt again or not doing as well as, maybe he should be. So Ryan Fitzpatrick was that huge safety net for them. And after getting rid of him, and now he's with the football team, I think Jacoby Brissette is literally like the next best thing. I think he's one of the best backups in the league. He backed up Tom Brady. He backed up Phillip Rivers. And I believe he backed up Andrew Luck as well when Andrew Luck was in Indianapolis. So he's got all of the experience from all these guys that now he's transferred to himself, that he can now teach Tua, like, hey, maybe you should do this, this, and this. And Ryan Fitzpatrick did that for him, but now he's not there anymore. So I think that this is a solid deal. He's got the experience, but he's also not going to fight for the starting position that obviously I'm pretty sure Tua is going to start. I think it would be pretty bonkers if they started Brissette.
Yeah, like who would see that coming? And I feel like that's something that Tua needed. And I feel like that's kind of where that season kind of led to his highs and his lows, because how can not only you, but your offensive line, all the team, work together when the quarterback's the captain, and each week they're kind of sitting around rating around like, oh, who's going to lead our team this week? Is it going to be Tua? Right. Is it going to be Fitzpatrick? And so that the whole team now kind of knows, okay, Tua's in charge. This is Tua's team. Let's figure out how to win majority of these 16 games.
Right. Yeah. And that was, I think, one of the hardest things for Tua to deal with in his first year was the back and forth. Because if I were Tua, I would have been like, who's in charge? Because is it Ryan Fitzpatrick? He's older, he's a veteran, but he's also like not like this starting quarterback that everyone looks up to. Like, he's great, but that's not who he is. Or is it going to be Tua and this and the back and forth was really confusing for me. So I could only imagine what that was like for Tua in the locker room, coming in on his first year, like, don't really know what's going on. So I think that this is definitely a solid pickup for the Dolphins, and I hope Tua does well. I hope Brissette can kind of teach him some things that maybe Fitzpatrick couldn't, because I don't want to see Tua just like fall out. I think that he could be really good in this league,
No, we do not want to see Tua become AJ McCarron. I didn't even know that man was still in the league until the other day. I was like, oh, okay, good for you, AJ.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think I was just thinking about AJ McCarron like a month or two ago, and I was like, where is he? Is he in the league? No, he's not. Wait, is he? Like, I couldn't figure it out. That's really funny. But yeah, so good pickup for the Dolphins in terms of a backup quarterback. Now, this one is interesting. And this is the pickup by the Texans with Tyrod Taylor, who they signed a 1-year, $12.5 million deal with him. Stuff going on with the Texans right now is very up in the air for several reasons. Obviously, the big elephant in the room being the fact that Deshaun has all of these sexual assault cases against him now. So, what's going to go on with Deshaun, we don't know. But let's just say, for example, things pan out and Deshaun gets traded. Do you think that Tyrod is a good fit for Houston?
I think that Tyrod Taylor would be Sorry, I just got distracted. I completely lost my train of thought. Okay, so I think that Tyrod Taylor would be, the perfect fit for them. But have we seen him play since he got stabbed in the legs by the crazy doctor man? Or was that okay? I was like, because that was a lot for me personally. So like, I don't know how he's gonna come back from that. And I didn't get stabbed in the legs. And so like how
right.
I like Tyrod Taylor's no Deshaun Watson. And then especially, he's not going to give you what Deshaun going to give you. At least Deshaun gave you 4 or 5 good years. Deshaun has nothing to live for in Houston. Like, he had DeAndre Hopkins. You sent him away. He had JJ. You sent him away. Yep. What does he have now?
Nothing.
Like, what is his purpose to come to work every day? Nothing. Like, he loves the city. He's giving people houses and stuff. But he can do that from anywhere. He's rich. Like, I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to be their answer, but I feel like Tyrod Taylor is a good enough answer, especially for a 1-year deal. So you can maybe see who's going to come out in the draft next year if Deshaun gets his wish and gets to get out of town.
Right. I have no idea what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I don't even want to like delve into that right now, because I'll sit here and talk for like an hour about it. But in terms of Tyrod, I mean, the man, it's like a crazy Twilight Zone cycle with him. He comes in, he shows potential. Everybody's like, that's our guy. He gets hurt. The rookie comes in and steals his job. It's happened like 3 times to this guy. I feel so bad for him. And this time around with Justin Herbert, it wasn't even his fault. He was just trying to get some pain relief. He like come on, and my ribs hurt, man. Doctor comes in, stabs him in the lung with a needle. I can't imagine what kind of state this man is in mentally. Like if that were me, I'd be like, goodbye, I'm done.
I mean, I just don't understand, how do you come back from someone stabbing you in the lungs? Like, because
I don't know.
Again, no doctor, no professional over here, but I just that's some 30 for 30 lifetime murder mystery like storyline. That's this man's life. Like,
I know. Well, to be fair, I believe that, Drew Brees didn't get punctured in the lung with a needle, but his rib did puncture his lung. So, and then he came back. So I think Tyrod is kind of on the mend, but also, like, I've never been stabbed in the lung. I don't know what it feels like or what the recovery process is, but I think that this could be good for the Texans, and, whatever happens with their quarterback situation, I think that if he stays healthy and if he's able to complete a season, I think he could be fairly good in Houston. And it's like a nice, like, safe choice for them, I think. Like you said, I don't know if he's the answer, but I think it's a solid choice for the 1 year that, maybe the Texans can come out of the dumpster fire that they've created for themselves.
Yeah, I feel like the Texans and Houston is the place where Tyrod Taylor can turn it around, like get out of this bad funk of getting hurt and the rookie comes in. Like he could kind of like be like, okay, Deshaun left, it's Tyrod Taylor time. Like I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna get it together. I'm gonna get my Teddy Bridgewater deal. Like I feel like that's gonna be his story this season.
I hope so. I really like Tyrod. I think he could be really great. So I really hope that things work out, not only with Tyrod, but with the Texans itself, because that organization is just ridiculous. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. The next guy that we're going to talk about is our first wide receiver on the list, and that was Curtis Samuel. Signed a 3-year, $34.5 million deal with the Washington football team, which I think is pretty good for them, because as a Giants fan, I've been looking at the free agent wide receiver market, and I was kind of sold on Curtis Samuel. What are your thoughts on this?
Love Curtis Samuel. Him and Riverboat Ron get to run it again.
Yep.
And I feel like he doesn't get enough love. Like he's a good wide receiver. Everyone's so caught up in the OBJ and those two guys and San Diego. Like Curtis Samuel's a good wide receiver that, is not out on like, all the socials doing all the crazy stuff. Like right. He's someone you can depend on. And I feel like that's something the Washington football team, they need to depend on, because, they had the Dwayne Haskins fiasco, and then Alex Smith, you were like, oh my God, should you be out here? Like, and then so now to have like a sturdy, dependable person to put with Chase Young, obviously Chase Young's on the other side of the ball, but
yeah,
to have like two dependable people on a team, and now you can figure out your quarterback situation. He's been in the league long enough. He's worked with Cam, so like if you have kind of like a whoa kind of person on your team, he knows how to do that. He knows how to share the ball. He's not a selfish wide receiver, which you need that, because there's a whole lot of them around there. That's
so we know that. And
that was a good pick for them. It kind of helped them on the field and off the field too.
Definitely. I think that this is a good fit for him in terms of, reuniting with Ron Rivera as his coach, and Terry McLaurin. They were roommates in college.
Yeah.
So, and I believe that they even mentioned like, yeah, when we were at OSU together, we were I think like literally like they were in the same dorm room together. And they were like, one day we're going to be in the league together. It's just like a very nice story to be like, you talk about this when you're 18, 19 years old with your friends in college, like, and now all of a sudden you're on the same team together on like, you guys play the same position, but they can put them on opposite sides of the field and like, give possibly Ryan Fitzpatrick options. The man is a miracle worker, in my opinion. So Ryan Fitzpatrick can toss to, Terry, he can toss to Curtis, he can toss to anybody on that field and make some magic happen. So I think I'm personally, being a Giants fan in the NFC East, like, this is a little scary for me. I'm like, wait a second. No one is supposed to be good in this division. We can't have this.
Exactly. Like Fitzmagic's got a couple potions he can put up together now.
Yeah, for sure. And also, and with the familiarity with him and Coach Rivera, like, they definitely can mesh well together. They know each other. They know how the other one works. You have friends on that team. It's brewing for Washington, and I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. But the only other thing is that, Curtis Samuel is basically the guy who stepped up for the Panthers last year when Christian McCaffrey went down. Like, they were all banking in on a running back there. And after they lost CMC, they were like, well, now we're going to start tossing the ball. And they threw the ball a bunch of times to Curtis Samuel. And I think he kind of pulled them out of a lot of situations in which they would have gone to Christian instead. So I think that, he's a bit of a weapon. And like you said, dependable, not crazy, does his job, is a wide receiver and nothing else. And I think that that's perfect for this crumbling Washington team that is on the rebuild.
Like, if you can't figure out a team name, like, it's a hot mess over here, y'all.
And the thing is too, they're like, yeah, we have a name now. Like, they picked a name, but they're gonna go another year as the Washington football team, which makes zero sense to me. I'm like, it's the off season. Start marketing it now. Like, what is the problem? What are we waiting for?
The entire purpose of the offseason is to market.
Like, literally, like, what goes through people's minds sometimes? Like, they're like, yeah, we've chosen a name, but it won't be until the following season. And I'm like, the off season just started. We're in March. You're not going until September. Like, come on. Like, just throw the logo onto a t-shirt and be done with it.
We know it's gonna look ugly anyway, because most of them look awful anyway. Like, you're gonna put it with one of them awful throwback renditions of a uniform, and they're gonna call it a day. People are gonna crack their jokes about it on the internet for a week or two, and then they're gonna move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and then that's it. Like, don't even focus on the haters, Washington. Just, 2020, 2021 vision, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, no, I'm Washington confuses me, but with the people that they're picking up is a little bit scary. So they're definitely, I could see them doing fairly well next year, especially in this division, because it sucks. The next guy I have on our list here is Kyle Long, and Kyle Long did not play last year. He was technically retired. He didn't opt out for the pandemic. He was retired. I believe he went to CBS for a little bit and did his broadcasting thing. Now he's back, and he signed a 1-year, $5 million contract with the Chiefs, which I think is a great pickup for them. What do you think?
Kyle Long just wants a ring. This fan was like, okay, y'all got smacked by Tom Brady, and you're mad. Mm-hmm. And you need, like, you don't like need me, but like, I'm Kyle Long.
You can have me.
Come on. I help you, you help me. Give me my little $5 million. I'll go over here and do my job, and let's go win this ring, because you're mad, and I wouldn't mind another ring.
Absolutely. And they obviously need offensive line help, because if anybody watched the Super Bowl, they don't exist. Whoever they had on that offensive line took a lunch break for the Super Bowl. Poor Patrick. The man ran like 500 yards in that game just because he was scrambling the whole time. So I think that this is great. Kyle Long, everybody knows the name Long, with his brother Chris. They were these scary guys in the NFL. And now with Kyle coming back, he played with the Bears for I don't even know how many years, but I never heard anything bad about the man. So I think that this is a great pickup for the Chiefs. There's pros and cons to taking a year off. You take a year off and you're like, cool, you can kind of chill out a little bit. Maybe you did some steroids or something that's not going to get picked up in a drug test this time. Or, who knows? But also the cons are you get a little out of shape. You're not going to practice. You're not doing this and that. It's a little bit hard to jump back in, as we kind of saw with Rob Gronkowski coming back into the league. He struggled a little bit, but then he kind of found his way. So Kyle Long, Good for you. Just grab a cool $5 million for the year. Get a Super Bowl ring. Whatever,
Because he's not gonna come back if they win. Like, that's
No.
why it was a 1-year deal. He's like, I'm trying this out. I'm testing the waters, see what I can get. Okay, $5 million and possibly a Super Bowl ring. That's not bad for 6 months of work at max.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And I am one of these people that thinks that this Super Bowl is going to be a repeat next year. I'm 100% feeling the fact that Chiefs are going to come in with a vengeance. They're going to get all these new guys. Patrick, Travis Kelce, they all took cuts to their pay to bring in more people. Like, they're ready to go to the Super Bowl again. And Tom Brady, the man is never going away. So he's going to come back. And it's just going to be like a reunion in the next Super Bowl with the Bucks and the Chiefs. So Kyle Long, good for you, buddy. Like, just do you. And hopefully they'll get a ring next year. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Chiefs. The next guy we got on the list here is AJ Green. This was a little bit surprising to me. I had a feeling he was going to go somewhere else, but AJ Green officially left his 10-year-long home in Cincinnati, signed a 1-year, about $8.5 million with the Cardinals, who are obviously scraping in people left and right. What are your feelings on Green going to the Cardinals?
I did not see this coming. Like, I knew he wasn't going to be staying in Cincinnati, but Arizona, like, the best thing Arizona did was get JJ Watt. Because, like, now you have something to sell. Like, you were like, come over here and play with JJ. We got Kyler Murray, we got Deshaun Hopkins. Like, they had nothing to sell. And now you're like, oh, wait a minute now. Are y'all a Super Bowl contender now? Hold up, I'm confused. And, like, AJ McCarron, like, he had his little injuries that kind of set him back, but he's really moving forward and moving pressures for that. And he needed to get out of Cincinnati. He's been there through all the coaches and all the quarterbacks. And I just feel like it's too much that he needs to move fast. He needs a clean slate. I like the idea of a 1-year deal, kind of see how it goes, see where it goes, especially this year, since they're going to have the OTAs and the training camps and the full thing to be able to get the job done. Best decision. Wouldn't have predicted Arizona, though, but he needed to get up and get out of Cincinnati.
Absolutely. Fresh slate, kind of with JJ Watt as well, looking for a fresh slate. A lot of these guys are coming in. I'm kind of afraid of the Cardinals now. Although I got a direct message from someone on Instagram that was like, you shouldn't be afraid of the Cardinals. And I'm like, well, I am. You saying that doesn't stop the fact that I'm afraid of them. But regardless, I like Arizona's just pulling them in. Kyler Murray did great last year. I think they kind of started to shake at the end a little, but their division was kind of being overtaken with the Rams and Seattle. But I had them kind of like, oh, they're kind of the guys that might come up in the NFC, and we might be like, oh, here are the Cardinals, and we really didn't expect them. But with Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, who is one of the best receivers in the league, along with a veteran like AJ Green, who is a little old, he is 32, but he even came out and said, like, I feel good, I feel great, I got gas left in the tank, I'm ready to go. I'm feeling like this, especially with JJ Watt on the other side of the ball. Like, they're not just focusing in on just their offense or just their defense. Like, they're moving on both sides of the ball here, and they're working with it, and they're bringing it up. And Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray have chemistry, and I'm like I said, I'm a little scared of the Cardinals, just a little bit.
Like, they're doing what the Kansas City Chiefs did like 2-3 years ago, but nobody really knew the names of the people they were picking up until they came there, and they were kind of like doing it on the sly. And now I feel like they're doing the same thing. They're kind of mixing up their cupcakes, and they're ready to serve them, and nobody's gonna see it coming.
No, I'm serious, and like, I just, the Cardinals were not bad last year. They were not bad. They were fairly good, and they had that beautiful Hail Murray pass in that Bills game when DeAndre Hopkins jumped up 3 defenders. Like, that man is incredible. And people like to write out Kyler Murray because of his size. Like, we can't do that anymore, people. We can't do it anymore.
It's not the 90s anymore. Come on, let's go.
we're evolving as a league. The whole league is changing. You see quarterbacks are running all over the place. You didn't see that 20 years ago. So Cardinals looking really good. And later on down our list, we have a bunch of people who have left the Cardinals. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, this next one, probably one of my favorite signings so far, Emmanuel Sanders, 1 year, $6 million with the Bills. I'm stoked. What do you think?
I love that. I 100% feel like he was like, Stefan, you like it down there? And he was like, yeah, come on. And he was like, sure. And I feel like that's what happened. Like nobody called him. They kind of like did it on the slide. They were like, hey, let's give it a try, a year, and see what happens. And they're like, can't be any worse than what we already have. That almost took us to the Super Bowl.
Right. Oh, I'm so excited. When I saw that notification on my phone, I was in my kitchen and I like literally started going like this, and I was like, oh my God, because I'm a closeted Bills fan. I'm low-key rooting for the Bills. But with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Emmanuel Sanders, and people will argue like Emmanuel Sanders is old now. Emmanuel Sanders doesn't have any. Like, yes, he does. The man does, and he's going to a place where everyone knows that atmosphere is so much fun. Like just being on that team, I want to be on that team. It looks like so much fun to be a Buffalo Bill. Like
we'll
I don't know.
hand out the waters. We'll hand out the waters. You need some Gatorade? Here you go. Here you go. You need a towel? Here you go.
I'll be that person. I know that those water people make like a cool 50 grand a year. Like call me up. I'm ready. I'll do the water thing, the towel thing. I'm ready. But yeah, the Emmanuel Sanders, this is so exciting. He just got cut from the Saints, and when that came out that he was cut from the Saints, I was like, huh, that's weird. Maybe like, he might end up somewhere like wherever. Like it didn't, I didn't really have any thought about it. But when they said that the Bills were taking him, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. This is really great. And I know Stefan's been in the league for a while, but Sanders has been there a little bit longer. Like I have a feeling they're gonna have that kind of, father-son relationship kind of thing, being in the same position as wide receivers. I'm just so excited. And I just saw a video of him on Twitter today eating buffalo wings and like trying blue cheese for the first time or something. I was like,
blue
wow.
Cheese, 2 thumbs down.
Hate blue cheese. Ranch only.
Ranch only if you like blue cheese.
No.
We have nothing to say to you.
Just walk away. I strongly dislike blue cheese, and I like all cheese. I literally any other cheese, good to go. Blue cheese, yuck. Nope, don't talk to me. Don't come near my wings. Ranch only.
Like whoever decided to call that cheese is just disrespectful to all the other cheeses.
No, it's just mold. It's not even cheese.
Like that's just disrespect. You just were like, okay, we're just disrespect this whole gender of food, this whole category of food, and we'll just blue cheese, okay, whatever. Because no one would be like, okay, I'm gonna dip my buffalo wing in American cheese.
Gross.
That's basically what the person who decided to make up blue cheese was like, huh, this is great.
Oh, this cheese has been sitting out for a year. Let me dip my food into it. Like, also, whose idea was it to switch the E and the U? Like, come on.
This is America. We can't spell anyway.
We don't need that. Just write it regular. BLUE. Why do we got to put the E before the U? Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, buffalo wings, good only with ranch, and I don't want to hear anybody else's opinion. Thank you so much. Emmanuel Sanders, though, going to Buffalo, I'm all for it. Next guy we got here is Jamal Williams, running back from the Packers, is now with the Detroit Lions on a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. What is your thoughts on this?
Why would you ever want to go to Detroit? Like, I
don't know. I don't know.
Like, and then if you're gonna be in Detroit for 2 years, why for only $7 million?
Yeah.
Like, at least put 17. Like, no one is busting down your door. You got that crazy man coach up in there who's telling people they're gonna bite their legs off. You don't have a quarterback. Because Matthew Stafford was like, I'm over this hot mess. I'm going somewhere else. Okay, you have Jared Goff.
Okay. People will argue Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl, but Jared Goff did not even throw his touchdown in the Super Bowl. So,
Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl. That's exactly what he did. He woke up that morning, put on an outfit, and went to the stadium where the Super Bowl was being held.
He's just like, I'm here.
Jared Goff did not actively participate in the Super Bowl.
No, that's so true, though. It's so true. And plus, probably worst Super Bowl of all time. 0 out of 10 don't recommend ever rewatching that Patriots-Rams Super Bowl. But Jamal Williams, I think he was just looking for a place to go. He was a backup back in Green Bay to Aaron Jones. So I think that he was just like, I want to find somewhere else. To be quite honest, he's probably not going to start too much for this team either. They still have DeAndre Smith. They have Kerryon Johnson. The only silver lining to this team is the fact that their offensive coordinator is Anthony Lynn now, who I have the utmost respect for. I know people don't like him, but I think that he's still really great as a coach, despite his last season with the Chargers. But otherwise, I don't really have a whole lot of things to say about the Lions. Nothing.
Why Detroit? Why?
I don't know. I don't know why he did that, but it's he's getting $7.5 million more than I am. So you know what? Do you, Jamal? Do you? It's all great. Next guy on the list here is Hassan Reddick. He signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Panthers, coming from the Cardinals. Guy that the Cardinals ended up losing. I think that he is a pretty good pickup for the Panthers here.
I'm going to be very honest. I never knew this man's last name was Reddick. So when I saw that it said Hassan, I was like, when did Hassan Whiteside from the NBA comes over here and start playing football? I was real confused. But then I was like, okay.
Different guy.
Now I understand what's going on. I mean, because I feel like I never saw the back of this man's jersey, which could be a good or a bad thing. Whoever.
Right.
But the Panthers needed some people, they got I don't know what's going on over there. They're trying to make space for people who are not on the market. Like, how are you going to make space for somebody that they said you can't have him? That's like going in the store and being like, oh, I'm going to buy this thing. And they're like, it's not for sale. Oh, but it's not for sale. Like, are you going to steal it?
No, it doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, the Panthers could use a linebacker, it's not a bad pickup for them, I don't think. Back when he was with the Cardinals, he stepped up for Chandler Jones. They got put in a more natural position for him. I think that he was more comfortable. I can't remember which one it is. He was more comfortable on the outside than the inside, or vice versa, and they had him in the other position, and then he jumped out to his more natural position and was just like, look, I'm doing great things when you put me in the position that I know how to play. So
crazy idea.
A concept, But I think that this is pretty solid for the Panthers. Like I said, got to work on either sides of the ball here in order to get a solid team. So the Panthers are working on that. The next guy we have here is Patrick Peterson, cornerback. He also left the Cardinals. He is now with the Vikings on a 1-year, $10 million deal. So, Pro Bowler, thinking that this could be pretty good for them.
I didn't see this one coming. I thought, especially after AJ Green was going to be in Arizona, I was like, okay, you got AJ Green, you got Patrick Peterson, you got this team is loaded. And then like the next day, Patrick Peterson was like, okay, I'm going to the cold weather. Bye. Like I didn't see it coming, but I think he'll be a good fit down there. They need not only athletes, because last season was no one remembers, and that's not a good thing in football. And they really didn't have anything going on, so they also were really bad on defense. Like, people were wiping the field with them. And Patrick Peterson, may he be 500 years old, he's still going to go out there and put in some good numbers for them. So it was worth the money on Minnesota's part, and it was worth the time on Patrick Peterson's part.
Just you saying that he's 500 years old is so accurate. Like, you're just like, what? He's just been around forever. Like, he's never going to go. He's never going to leave. He's been around since the dawn of time. Like, he's just there. He's just doing his thing. So I 100% agree with you, though. I think the Vikings are doing a very good job in their offseason so far, and picking up, letting go. I think that they're working with it. So, and Peterson is a great asset to this defense, especially like you said, were not doing too great last season in terms of their defense. Next guy we got here is Jared Cook. He is replacing Hunter Henry on the Chargers. So 1 year, $6 million deal, tight end, coming from the Saints. I think that, they had to fill the Hunter Henry void because Hunter Henry was just like, off to New England I am. Goodbye. And we were like, oh, okay. Like,
Hunter Henry is like,
Jared Cook.
LA, not for me, dog. And I mean, Jared Cook is a very safe option. I agree with you. They needed to fill the spot. He was best available person they knew they could count on to get. They didn't give him too much money. They gave him a reasonable amount of time, kind of figure it out and work it out. And he's hadn't had like an awful season in his time in New Orleans. He never did anything insane. He never did anything great for going on Travis Kelce route, but safe option. I feel like he'll work well with Justin Herbert.
Yes.
They'll work very well together. Justin Herbert seems like very open. I'll do whatever anybody has to do. Jared Cook is older, so he can be like, hey, don't do that. That's stupid. Why did you throw the ball over here when I'm walking over here? Like that just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's gonna work out.
Yeah, for sure. And I like it because you have a veteran guy there. Justin Herbert's going into his next season, finally being like that guy. Like he knows he's going into this next season saying like, I'm the starter. I got a new coach. I got new teammates. It's a pretty good dynamic over there. I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert, so I want to see him succeed. So, Jared Cook, like you said, safe, nice little fill-in for the tight end spot. Can teach Justin Herbert a thing or two. I think it's pretty solid for the Chargers. Another Bills pickup, next person on our list. I was perplexed at this. Mitchell Trubisky is now a Buffalo Bill. And I was like, okay.
That's one man you cannot keep down. Mitch Trubisky, you can kick him out, but you can kick him out of your stadium, but he will find a new home.
Here.
You cannot get this man out. And I mean, I don't think, like, obviously Josh Allen is the man there, but I feel like, they'll run a few little schemes for him, kind of put him in the position of Jason Tatum at New Orleans, kind of like fit him in where he can be in, get him in little plays and schemes. And that's a good place for him. He can learn, not necessarily from Josh Allen because they're relatively the same age, but he can pick up. They have great coaches down there, especially their offensive coordinators. And I feel like that's a great place for him. He obviously has some negativity with those Bears fans who were anti-Mitch Trubisky for some reasons unbeknownst to me. And the Bills Mafia, they love everyone. So I feel like that's going to help him too. That's going to help his confidence, bring him back and be like, okay, I'm good at football. I'm not listening to those Bears fans who kept claiming I was awful, even though I was winning games, which I just never understood that concept.
No, the whole thing with Mitch Trubisky, I don't know why everyone didn't like him that much. My friend who's a Bears fan, he was on the Mitch Trubisky train. He was just like, I know this guy is good. I know he's good. And yeah, he struggles a little bit, but he's not a bad quarterback. And I'm pretty sure Mitch and Josh Allen were in the same draft class. I think they were both drafted in like 2017, was it? 2018? Either way, they pretty close in age. I think that it's just going to be kind of like a spot holder for Mitch Trubisky to find out what's next in his life. I know he's not going to be the starter for the Bills. Like, I know that Josh is going to stay there in that position, but like you said, why don't we just toss Mitch in there? He gets a play or two in there and we're like, oh, what's going to go on with the Bills? Like, I think that this is the perfect place for Mitch Trubisky to be. You need to take that year, figure yourself out, get a feel for what you want to do, where you want to go, sit behind on a team that might end up in the Super Bowl. you never know. The Bills we're almost at the Super Bowl this year. I don't think they're going to slow down at all this next year. I think it's going to be great. And I think that, Mitch stays in shape. He gets a feel for a winning team. And then maybe next year he moves on to somewhere else where people will appreciate him. Because I think he deserves that appreciation.
Send love Mitch Trubisky's way. Because he gets a lot of hate for no reason. How you can hate on someone that's a winner? But they always hate on the winners, so.
Very true. Very true. No, and the whole thing is like everybody's always like, oh, the Bears could have had Patrick Mahomes. The Bears could have had Deshaun Watson. I'm like, well, you know what? They didn't pick either of those guys. They picked Mitch Trubisky. You can't do anything about it now.
You picked Andy Dalton. So obviously they're not good at making choices.
Yes, exactly. Like they literally need somebody. Like somebody's in that front office like, ooh, I want that one. Ooh, I want that one. It's like someone needs to be like, no, think with your head for a second, okay? Like relax. Because the Bears, I mean, we talked about it already, but the Bears are a mess. But I think this is great for Mitch. Like, good for you. Sit as a backup for a little bit, get some reps in, like I said. And then next year we'll see. The thing is, though, I do think it's a quite low contract. Like, it's only $2.5 million for a quarterback who's been in the league for a while, and I know that he's going to be the backup, but usually these guys get like 10. I just think 2.5 is kind of low.
But I think that's just kind of, in his case, he wanted to be there. He wasn't like making a full term plan. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, I feel like that was the best case for him. They didn't really have a backup that they knew they could put in there if something, could happen to Josh. And he, even though that would be awful for everyone involved, I feel like, they kind of knew he needed a home. He knew they needed a backup. And I feel like that was a fair deal for everyone involved, because they knew they couldn't spend so much on Mitch Trubisky when they're trying to, really find this perfect gel for Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, now Emmanuel Sanders, to get this team off the ground.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we said, great pickup for the Bills. Good place for Mitch. I think, pretty easy all around in terms of this pickup. Next one on the list, I am so excited. Oh my God, I was like having a panic attack. Kyle Rudolph went to the New York Giants for $16 million, 2-year deal, a tight end who can actually catch the ball. I am just ecstatic. I am beyond my words. I don't like our tight end, Evan Ingram. I don't think that he performs well in our scheme. He drops the ball a lot. He has cost us, I think, an average of 60 points last year. So this, for me, as a Giants fan, I'm so excited.
I just didn't even understand why they had Ingram in that scheme. Like, that's not his football game. It's not his football game. You're setting this man up to fail. Why are we in this business, y'all? Come on. Aren't we out here trying to win? But Kyle Rudolph is a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I know that he is up there in age. I know he's like 32 or something like that. I don't care. I've seen the things Kyle Rudolph did in Minnesota. I liked the things that Kyle Rudolph did in Minnesota. He was out in the end zone, like doing Odell one-hand catches. Like, okay, sir, do you? Like, I know he's like super tall. He's got a wingspan of like 17 feet. It's great. I think that what's really exciting for me about this is that I know this tight end is good, and I know that he can do well. And that means that the tight end that we do have in Evan Ingram is probably on his way out. And that's what's happy for me. I'm like, oh, thank God. This man.
Yeah, like he needs to go find a home. And I think that home could be at the Saints, but don't get me started.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Especially depends on who they get to start, which some, Jameis is staying there. And Jameis can't throw the ball that far. So so he's gonna need a little short passes. So I think that could work. Call me up, Saints. Don't ask me to be your GM. You can give me the salary though. I can't take the full-time position.
I don't know why people don't call us up and ask for our opinions. Like, it's obvious that we know what we're talking about here. So, Kyle Rudolph here. Like I said, super excited about it. I was freaking out like on Twitter. I was just like, it's happening. Things are happening. And it was just great. I'm so excited for this. It's going to be fantastic. The next guy that we have on our list is Kenyon Drake. Another Cardinals loss. Went to the Raiders for a 2-year, $14.5 million deal. Now they have him and Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Bit of Drake and Josh action there. So
roll Tide, getting the gang back together. I love this. Big Kenyon Drake fan over here. And I was a little sad to see him go to Arizona, but I love the idea of him being in Vegas, have a little hot, have a little cold. Josh Jacobs, I feel like he's a great running back, but I feel like they could especially use him now with Kenyon Drake. They could put him in the slot and then kind of switch it up a little bit, because I feel like that's what really hurt them last season. Everyone knew they were going to run the ball. Everyone knew. If you didn't even watch football, you knew they were going to run the ball because the guy from the little Kia commercials was on their team.
Yeah.
And so now they can switch it up. They can put him in the slot. It's not going to be as stale as it was. And so that was a great move for everyone involved.
Yeah, I agree. I think that their run game just escalated immensely. And the Raiders, I think at this point, need all the help they can get. I think that they did okay last year, but there was a lot of things that were missing. One of them being a decent run game where the defense couldn't just like look up and be like, oh, you're running the ball there. Got it. Cool. Thanks for letting us know before you guys even got sick. So I'm excited. And, I like the Drake and Josh thing in the backfield. I know you're a little younger than me, but I
know Drake and Josh, girl.
Okay, good. Because I
feel like
Come
on now. I feel like people get that so confused. Like, I was born in the year 2000s. I'm not born in the 90s, but we were there. We were hanging out.
Yes,
I feel like people think I'm over here in the Sam and Cat. I don't even know what Sam and Cat is. What is that show? You mean the girl from iCarly? Yes, I know her. Sam and Cat, don't know them.
No. Oh, yeah, for sure. I never watched Sam and Cat at that point. I was like, oh, this is weird. It's like a combination of iCarly and Victorious. I'm very confused, but I'm glad that you know Drake and Josh because that was one of my favorite shows growing up. But yeah, I think that in terms of, like I said, their run game, really great. You got an older guy, you got a younger guy, some more mentoring can go down. I think that this is a solid pickup for the Raiders. This one is interesting because I talked about it on my podcast, but everything that went down with the Patriots this past week has been insane. And they topped it all off with the fact that linebacker Kyle Van Noy re-signed with them after a year with Miami. He jumps back to the Patriots, signs a 2-year, about $12 million deal with them. I read somewhere that this is a low risk, high reward for the Patriots, and I think that that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Miami and he saw all the commotion going on down there. And then he woke up one day and saw that Bill Belichick was over here spending his stimulus check on every good player that was available. And he was like, let me go over here. I'm going back home.
Yeah.
They figured it out. I left because Tom left. And they did a bad season. I had a bad season. So at least we can go back and maybe have an okay season.
Yeah. No,
you can't blame a man for that.
I wish I was on the list for the Patriots stimulus check because, my God, so much money. It was ridiculous. I was freaking. It was like Monday afternoon. I was like, who let Bill Belichick out here with a credit card? Like, he was just like, yep, you, 50 mil for you, 25 mil for you. How much you want? You want another 50 mil? Got it. We got the money. And I was like, okay, Patriots
he did his best Oprah impression. Like,
you get a contract. Everybody gets a contract.
We can afford it. Now, I don't know if they really could, but I guess we're going to figure that one out too. But I mean, they don't have like that franchise player because, Cam's only there for another 1 year, a little 14 million. Like, they can afford it to just because you don't have that quarterback you got to pay because they're only here for a year.
Yeah, no, I think the Patriots have figured it out, And Bill Belichick is always up to something, and I don't trust him, but this is a good pickup for the Patriots. Like I said, he knows where he is. He knows his coach. He's returning back just from like a 1 year away where he played in Miami, who had one of the best defenses in the league. You know, he did well in Miami. The team itself, not as much, but, you know, defense really, really good. And I think that, you know, Patriots are out here trying to rebuild this Patriots team that everyone once knew. You know, they're trying to get all the pieces together, trying to make sure that they spend the right amount of money to get this Super Bowl winning team again, which I hope doesn't happen because we can't see the Patriots in the Super Bowl again. I'm over it. I don't want it anymore. Don't want it. But yeah, I think this is great for them. And Kyle Van Noy, he was on the market. I was kind of hoping that the Giants would pick him up, but nobody listens to me. So, but that's beyond the point. Next on the list, we got Will Fuller. Will Fuller, wide receiver, is going to the Dolphins. One's leaving the Dolphins, one's going. A 1 year, $10 million deal, just about, coming off of a PED suspension, though. So it's kind of interesting. You know, what are your thoughts on Will Fuller going to Miami?
I feel like that's a safe choice. You know, he did his time in Texas at the Texans, and he kind of, you can't really blame anyone for flying on the radar in Houston, and so, you know, it's a safe choice. They kind of had, you know, Jarvis Landry kind of left, and that was kind of like their big wide receiver, and now they kind of really didn't have one last season. So pulling in Will Fuller, who you know can have that like star power, kind of consistency. Was it the PEDs? Guess we'll find out. And now they have, it's a safe choice. They didn't spend a lot of money, and now they can figure it out.
Yeah. Again, if he can stay healthy and stay out of trouble, pretty solid receiver. I remember when he was on the Texans, he did some pretty, you know, just solid things for them. You know, obviously when he was there, D-Hop was also there. He was not the star. You know, he was just their dependable receiver. The PEDs, you know, they're a little bit scary. They make me a little nervous. I believe he still has, like, he can't play the first week of next season. Week 2, I believe he'll be able to come back. So that'll still be on people's minds when they're reminded that Will Fuller's still on a suspension for that. But if the Dolphins trust him, if they talk to him and they're like, he was like, hey, didn't mean to do that, was just trying something, or, you know, experimenting, whatever he was doing. The Dolphins seem to be okay with it, and like you said, safe choice, easy. Dolphins need somebody else for Tua or Brissette, whoever to throw to. Pretty solid. And to wrap this all up, this happened today. Nobody's leaving. Corvette. Juju Smith-Schuster staying in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He took a massive pay cut. What are your thoughts on Juju staying over in the Steel City?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, he's given that city more in the past 3 years than I feel like any player has in a really long time. Now, some people might say, oh, they haven't won a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about Super Bowls nowadays? Honestly.
Who cares?
Because who's really winning Super Bowls other than Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes? Nobody. So you can't really compare people to Super Bowls like you could back in the day. And so the fact that he's bringing in fans, he's giving people a show. Back in the day, that was T.O. and Ocho Cinco, Chad Johnson. They were giving people a show. And now that's what people do, is give them a show. And you can't be mad at him for giving a joke. Now, was that funny, him getting TikTok out of the playoffs? Yes, that was made for great TV. But he's also a good wide receiver. Like, you can't blame him. Because, you know, Ben was coming back from last year. The year before that, Ben was hurt. They had all their little drama going on, a little backup quarterback. So you can't really blame him for that. This year was a pandemic. They didn't have an off season. Ben was coming back. They had a lot going on. This season, they now have off season. Ben will be ready to go. He's taking the pay cut. I feel like everyone's really buying in. And then you got Chase Claypool over there that's making unnecessary TikToks for him to come back. Like, boy, you knew he was coming back. Even though I did send Sam a message, and I was like, why is he saying goodbye if you're going to come back? No one says goodbye before you leave if you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that was weird. When you sent that to me, I was like, that's interesting. I think that was like on Sunday or Sunday or Monday that you sent me that. I was like, okay, like sounds like he's saying goodbye. Like that's what that sounded like. And I think he had put out like different things left and right. It was like, no, I'm not coming back to Pittsburgh. No, I'm not coming back to Pittsburgh. Put out the Instagram post and everything. And I was like, oh, I guess Juju's made up his mind. He's not going back to Pittsburgh. I think that he was just he just wanted to be petty. I think he just wanted to throw that out there so that when this did happen, he'd be like, haha, I tricked you guys. LOL. You guys fell for it.
As like, at the end of the day, I feel like, football's crazy because it's like 53 little individual businesses, you know what I mean?
Right.
And his business is so tied to Pittsburgh that I couldn't see him being, Juju on TikTok without being in Pittsburgh. So he kind of had to stay there, Yeah,
and I think that he loves that team. He loves the city. The fact that he took a massive pay cut just to stay there is telling in and of itself, because I believe the Eagles were giving him offers. I think the Chiefs were on that list. The Ravens, which are obviously one of the big rivals of the Steelers, and he took none of them. And he wanted to go back to the Steelers. And I think that's great. I also just want to say people need to stop like bullying him for being on TikTok. Let the kid make his TikToks, okay? He's not hurting anybody. Should he have been dancing on the logos? No. Maybe not the best choice, but he's just out here just dancing in the locker room with his friends, with his new pal Chase Claypool, just out here doing his thing. I'm like, why is everyone so anti-TikTok with Juju? Like, who cares?
And I think Chase Claypool played a big role because for a long time, Juju was the only kid on the team. Like, he didn't have anybody to play with. Like, it was just kind of like, Juju's over here, being Juju, dancing in the end zone with the dog named Bougie. It's kind of like him with all the older kids that were on, like, the big playground. And he's not going to go home and smoke cigars and do all the other stuff. He wants to be on Twitch, like, playing video games and stuff. And so now that he has someone on the team his age that's going to correlate with him and, like, understand him, it made sense for him to stay there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Really, I'm stoked for him. I'm excited for the Steelers. I think that they're trying to like pull themselves together. I just saw a tweet too that I think Chase Claypool put out that was like a big giant FaceTime with like a bunch of people like congratulating Juju. One of them was Devlin Hodges, who was Duck Hodges, like the third stringer. He's not even on the team anymore. And they like included him in the FaceTime, and I was like, this is so wholesome because it just shows that like they're all still friends and they're all just like, oh, we're so proud of you, Juju. Like, good for you staying on your team. I'm like, so cute.
Yeah, I just wish like they could like his like the things that I really like are like when the players are like doing their stuff on the outside. I'm like, can y'all just give us a little like for free? Like, we're not asking for like you to give us a 2-hour documentary, a little 30-minute ESPN special of y'all just hanging out, talking about whatever. I don't really care to watch y'all play like video games and stuff like that. But like,
no,
if you want to play like bingo, because I feel like any athlete doing like simple stuff like them playing Uno. Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
Oh my God. I would pay such good money to watch a bunch of like football guys play Uno. Oh my God. It would get so heated. Like they would be like, reverse. And they're like, no.
Okay, can you put a draw 2 on top of a draw 4?
Wait. No, draw 4 is a wild card, right? And draw 2. If the draw 2 is the color. Yeah. Can you? Is there a rule for that?
I mean, Uno says you can. I think you can.
Uno's stupid. They don't know what they're talking about.
Because they're like, oh, you can't put like because people put down a draw 2 and you don't have a draw 2 and then they put a draw 4 and they'd be like, oh, you can't do that. Like, technically, it's an any color card.
Yeah.
And the color inside of it.
If you put down a draw 4 and you say yellow, and then you have a yellow +2 card, why would you not be able to do that? That's stupid. That's just stupid. Uno doesn't know what they're talking about. We make the rules here.
Exactly.
We make the rules. But as of right now, that is all of the free agency frenzy that has gone down in the past couple days. Ashley, I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with me about this. Super fun time. Why don't you let everyone know where they can find your podcast?
Yeah, it's Her Sports Convo podcast. We're on YouTube now. Check us out. There's already 2 videos up there. First video, me and my friends, we talked about March Madness, some memories from March Madness. Second video is my interview with the Arizona legend, Ernie McCray. We talked about his history, all that good stuff. Her Sports Convo, we talk about sports, things related, sometimes not, because I get distracted, as you've obviously seen already today. We have a good time. We talk about all the sports, new, old, basketball, football, women's soccer, men's soccer, gymnastics, whatever I feel like talking about.
Nice.
Come on over. It's a good time. Let's hang out.
Yeah, guys, definitely check out Ashley's podcast. It's really fun. It's kind of like mine, where we just like all of a sudden we're talking about Uno, and you're just like, how did we get here? I don't know. But everybody, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Girl Who Talks Sports. Like the video, comment on the video, whatever you want to do. Give Ashley a follow, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.